You ever just hear a story that plays a little bit out like Romeo and Juliet, you know, like one person meet another person, and they both have some odd interests, so they hit it off together. He completes her, she completes him. It's like a Disney movie made in heaven, okay? There are 1,000 red flags in the mix that say you should definitely not hook up with said person, but you say, fuck it, like why not? And then the next thing you know, either one of you is dead, or you just break it off in an unhealthy divorce. Because you know what? 2020 now, all right? Welcome to the story. I'm Alex at FI on Instagram, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna be talking about a joint venture that felt just a little bit like a high school project with that one kid you like to party with, but actually hated talking to sober. We're talking about the one, the only, the cars from DSM. And if this is one of the first videos you've watched from Fitment Industries, hello there. We're from the Midwest, so prepare to hear some oops and some ugly accents. We really don't have anything good going for us when it comes down to, you know, serenading anybody. But hey, don't forget to subscribe, and if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to check us out over at fitmentindustries.com, where we literally have it all. Everything from Coste to Kansei, from BC Racing to Fortunato. So if you want to buy some of those tires, suspension, so I can keep on my ramen habit, that'd be absolutely great. Anyway, let's get into this crazy love triangle. By the way, Kansei giveaway shirt. It's live with Kansei, free wheels. Pick up a t-shirt, okay? Diamond Star Motors, or DSM for short, can be taken all the way back to the early 70s when Mitsubishi was looking to jump into the foreign market, and Chrysler was like, oh, hey there, bud, and picked up 15% of the company's stock and pretty much allowed them to open new doors. It was like a whole new world for them, okay? This allowed both Mitsubishi and Chrysler to fill some good old holes in the boat for either their lower end models or had the availability to sell in new markets, okay? Now you gotta remember that back in the good old day, Mitsubishi really wasn't any good at making like money, like at all, okay? Mitsubishi Motor rarely ever actually returned a profit back in the day. Now just taking one from the old Tesla playbook, it never just seemed to matter to them because they had other stuff going on. This partnership was also trying to teach the good old MMC how to make money in the process because Chrysler was doing pretty damn good. And at the beginning, it truly started to work. Mitsubishi passed 1 million units in 1980, and in 1982, Chrysler was importing 110,000 Mitsubishis, baby-ish, okay? Mitsubishi began selling directly, and it was working until it really wasn't, okay? Because there's some interesting things that were going on where we wanted Mitsubishi to do well, but not that well. There was like a voluntary import limit that was placed to limit the amount of Mitsubishis that could come into the country. And there was another small issue that pretty much every import of a Mitsubishi ultimately kind of hurt Chrysler. And as a result, Mitsubishi and Chrysler kind of got in this weird love triangle. So they ended up forming a production facility in the US to avoid the quotas that were set and limitations that were set, and therefore Diamond Star Motors was actually properly born. Now, little trivia for your Friday night garage friends when you're hanging out with them, with friends. The names come from their company's Diamond and Star logos. How neat is that, okay? The first facility in Normal, Illinois was slightly larger than my house at a little bit about, 1.9 million square feet. This plant would be completed in 1988, and in 1989, the married couple began to produce cars. Those cars would be the Mitsubishi Eclipse, bangin', the Plymouth Laser, kinda bangin', and the Eagle Talon, double banging, okay? The 1Gs were born, and angels cried. The world wondered what in the hell was screaming down Highway 1. Little trigger point for DSM owners is what actually classifies as a DSM. Now, I know we like to argue about petty stuff because it's the internet, all right? Varrock or Varrock, okay? Whether a plasma pistol / BR is a cheap combo or the best combo ever made, and whether a Galant VR4 is actually a DSM. In our case, a DSM is any vehicle that was made in the joint venture here in the US of A during the time frame of Diamond Star Motors. This would exclude cars like the 3000 GT, the Evo, and the Galant. Even the 2000 and up Eclipse, depending on production space, would technically not be a DSM. But we're not here to get people all fired up, okay? We're here for you to enjoy your dinner, okay? Even with the launch of these vehicles, they never really hit capacity as much as they wanted to. And pair that with the fact that Chrysler decided it no longer wanted to have any money anymore, which is kind of interesting coming from the company that was trying to teach Mitsubishi on how to make money, it ultimately ended up not doing so well. Chrysler ended up selling its half of DSM back to Mitsubishi, and by 1995, DSM was dissolved and essentially moved back under the Mitsubishi motor name. You see, during this short one-night stand, we will call it, okay, that somehow turned into a marriage, because those always work out really well, Chrysler and Mitsubishi shared their house, okay? But they didn't share their finances, and they didn't share their personal lives, and they really didn't share pretty much short of the refrigerator, okay? So you had engineering departments that didn't talk to each other. Manufacturing didn't want to talk to each other. And there's so much more, where the companies, although they came together, they never really actually came together. Pair that with the fact that you had a cultural difference between Chrysler and Mitsubishi, and you could see why things didn't really pan out. And even when DSM dissolved, they continued to make vehicles all the way up till 2015. However, those are Mitsubishis, not DSMs, and I can only imagine the forum arguments on this kind of stuff. Because, of course, why wouldn't you want to be loyal to a brand? DSMs do umbrella the second gen DSMs kind of sort of on the shared platform, but the joint venture was over during the production, hence the argument. That's why there's 1G versus 2G arguments and 2G versus 3G arguments, and there's all sorts of arguments, and it just gets confusing. The cars that did come out of that era, though, were quite the platform. First generation DSMs had the iconic 4G63 engine or variations of it. Most importantly, the turbo models were just like a brand new bottle. They're just like a brand new bottle of ranch in the fridge, okay? They were unexpected, but it's definitely welcome, okay? There's a 4G37 as well, but no one really works on that one in the good old scene, and that's fine. It's good. That one was okay too. The first generation of DSM share the same exact platform and just have slightly different exteriors and cosmetics, which is why all of them kind of share the same clothes, you know? There's a lot of fantastic information on the 4G63 motors, which is the reason why the first gen DSMs are so popular, why they get built up and why people love them. And pretty much in short, they're just fantastic little 2-liters that can just spank just about anything out there with a few modifications. We'll chat more about that later, okay? Whoa. What is this? History only? Absolutely not. We're here to talk about you wanting to own one of these bad boys, okay? So you want to own a DSM, bless your heart, okay? Set down the old drag slicks and snag your closest 2-liter pop joke reference, because we're about to jump into what it actually is like to pick up one of these nearly 2 to 3-ish decade old cars, okay? Owning a DSM is a bit of an acquired taste, just like a rotary. Most DSMs out there are either collecting dust in a junkyard or currently being built to be about, I don't know, like just a really conservative 800 horsepower, because that's what they do. Truth be told, DSMs, all of them, for the sake of convenience, were all pretty fantastic cars minus a recall or two. Mitsubishi's technological advancement in their cars and the surprising amount of trim levels allowed the Eclipse, Talon, and Laser to get in front of the right people at the right time, even if it wasn't necessarily a lot of people, okay? The 4G63 options, you had your manuals and your automatics. You even had options set up so that you could actually, like they just came in all the things that you needed, but they were at a good price point where the competition didn't really stand much of a chance. It actually gave it a good run for its money. People that took a risk on buying one of these back in the day, in the 90s, almost always fell in love with them. As time grew on and the tuner market began to explode even more, car enthusiasts began snagging DSMs as like a go-to, make fast, eat, go fast, and that stuff with, not a whole lot of modifications. And now a few decades have passed and the interest in these cars have declined. They do also may have gotten hit a little bit by the 90s stick, and sometimes making them look new and fresh is a little bit harder. But there are a group of enthusiasts that absolutely love these cars and refuse to let them die. The community for DSMs isn't large, but it's probably one of the strongest ones out there, and for good reason. Aftermarket modifications continue to be developed for these cars as power plant, and even a few looky boy parts if you're trying to jump into that, okay? The good old gallery sees Eclipses and Talons pretty much run RPF1s like religiously as their go-to, with either Hankook tires or some beefy Toyos on there for drag racing. We talk more about the good old Laser, the Danger Ranger Laser, but that's one that didn't really make this cut. Most individuals that pick up a DSM these days is for one of two reasons though. They want a project car, or two, they've built their last project car, they want another project car. DSMs are like a house. They're just never really done. And you're never going to be completely done with it because they're a DSM, because DSMs are just a little bit finicky. They just have their own little problem childs. They're just a little bit fun to deal with, okay? They are an older car that's turned into an acquired taste, but it's still a platform that plenty of people respect, especially enthusiasts that know exactly what they're looking at when a true DSM comes rolling down the road. And although the marriage of Chrysler and Mitsubishi ended in a fury of flames and divorce paperwork, it did spawn a few cute little kids that have now turned out into being, you know, the quiet uncle at the Christmas party that has some of the best stories to date. So what do you guys think about DSMs? Let us know in the comment section below. And of course, if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension for your DSM or non-DSM vehicle, check out fitmentindustries.com where we have it all. And if you're looking to pick up a free set of Kansei wheels, you can come pick up one of these t-shirts. There'll be a description link below for you. Of course, don't forget to subscribe too. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We will see you guys later. Peace.